Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us on what is our first Bright Ideas session. And I suppose I'll just explain the concept of the Bright Ideas session, and then I'll introduce our panelists who have very kindly taken the time to come and speak to us today. So really appreciate your time, guys. So the Bright Ideas sessions, they are a series of webinars that I want to be hosting, touching on various different topics within the accounting industry. So today's is all about making your firm stand out. And the reason that we're running this session today is because the Accounting Excellence Awards opened their applications and they are accepting applications as of yesterday. So on the call today, we've got two firms that have both been shortlisted for awards. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about the various different aspects of their firm that has made their practice stand out on an application form and ultimately got them shortlisted for awards. It was quite funny. Obviously, I met both panelists before the session today, just to get kind of just discuss about the session and some of the things that are going on in practice. And Chloe actually said to me, "Oh no, we don't do anything, or we haven't got anything in place about this particular topic that we was talking about." And as we was talking about it, and it naturally came into conversation, I was like, "No, that's quite exceptional. That's really good what you've done there." We'll come on to it in a moment anyway, during the session. And it was the epitome of the reason why we're hosting these sessions, to be honest with you, because it's my belief that a lot of bright users out there are doing some exceptional things within their practices, but not recognizing it as anything exceptional because it's just your day job. It's just what you're doing every day. And I'm hopeful that maybe you'll hear some of the things that we're talking about today, and it might inspire you to go, no, actually, we are doing something pretty exceptional here. This is pretty good stuff that we're doing. Maybe I should put myself forward for the awards. Or maybe if you don't put yourself forward in the awards, maybe just give yourself a good pat on the back and say, yeah, we are doing a cracking job here. So that's the idea of the concept of these sessions, and this one in particular. The sessions are nothing without the panelists, because the panelists are the ones with the insight, the valuable content. I'm just a guy that asks the questions. So I'm delighted to be joined by Chloe and Max today, who are going to come and share some insights. I'll come to you both in turn. If you could just introduce yourself and give a bit of a background of the practice, that would be great. Perhaps Max, would you mind going first?
Sure thing. Hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Max, and I head up the Accounts and Legal Liverpool office. So we specialise in small business accounting, and we specialise in real-time information, being more than once a year. And yeah, keeping our clients accountable for hitting more than the dream possible with their business. So I've been with the firm just over 18 months now, and I've gone from just being myself in the Liverpool office, all alone in a Spaces office, to having 8 members of staff. So it's been quite a fast growth mission, but yeah, exciting to be a part of.
Excellent, thank you very much, Max. Chloe, if I could come to you next, please.
Hi everyone, so I'm Chloe. I work at Sterling Accounting Solutions. I've been at Sterling Accounting Solutions for 6 years this year. We've been a company that's an accountancy firm that's been trading for 7 years, so I was kind of there from the start, which is pretty exciting. So at Team SAS, the whole mantra, as you wish, is that we are building one of the UK's leading accountancy firms to enable businesses to grow with the help of cloud accounting. And I actually work specifically in the virtual finance team department, which I will probably delve in a bit about later.
Thank you very much. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to build a bit of a community feeling for bright users here. Both firms are bright customers, and we really appreciate the time that they're taking to come and talk in the session. And if you've got a question, please feel free to drop it into the Q&A box that should be in the control panel on the side of your screen now. We're happy to pick that up as we go along, and just make it quite conversational, really. But I'll get started. So obviously, it's all about, I suppose the concept, the idea is all about the awards. Now, both your firms applied for awards last year, and there would have been a point where somebody sat down within the firm with the application form, and they had to put in a box something that stood out, some sort of, a special, it could be a special initiative or something particularly of note, really, that made the application form stand out. And I thought we'd just kind of touch on that to begin with. And Max, I'll come to you first. What really kind of stood out to me from our conversation that we had was just about, I suppose, that sort of level of client service that you're delivering and aiming to provide clients. I thought it'd be quite interesting if you could just touch on that for the guys.
Yeah, sure thing. So I think, yeah, our whole ethos is around customer service first. I mean, we've been, a lot of the senior members of this firm have been sort of in and around the top of cloud accounting for the last 10 years. And there was a phrase, I probably robbed it from someone else, that technology isn't the next best thing, but people are. And it's really about the service and the service around the tech that sort of drives making a difference for clients. So we pride ourselves on sort of, well, two staple elements of service. So one being daily bookkeeping and that real-time information, so that if a client is to log on to their Xero today, their sales ledger, purchase ledger, bank rec will be up to date as of the day before, as long as they provide and do their part of the bargain. So with that in place and having that real-time information, whether something comes up or they want to rent a new office, employ a new member of staff, and they want to jump in some forecasting where we can do it at the drop of a hat. Not just that, but instead of the once a year tax planning meeting, and we always say it's like a trip to the dentist. You go and see your accountant once a year. It's painful. You have no idea what they just said. It costs you a fortune. You come back again 12 months later for it all to happen again. We sort of try and see our clients at least minimum once every 3 months. So we brand it as sort of like a quarterly catch-up. It's very much built into our fees. We're not the cheapest accountant. If you want a once a year firm, then we can happily recommend elsewhere. However, we think our clients, see great value in them. Quarterly catch-ups where we will sort of review how the last quarter has gone as a first instance, but more importantly, where's the business going over the next 3 to 6 to 12 months, and what are we going to do to help you keep accountable for hitting them goals. It's more of a, I don't like using the word business coaching service because I find that sometimes quite airy, but just delivering a bit more accountability and a bit more commercial awareness to the service as a whole.
Excellent. And what you're kind of touching on there is in regards to seeing customers once a year and just kind of having that annual checkup. It speaks to the stereotypical view of an accountant, really, and I think I've probably said this on webinars previously, but I strongly believe that the stereotypical view of an accountant couldn't be further away from the truth, really, in regards to the stereotype is somebody who likes to only see their clients annually, that kind of sits in a room somewhere with a calculator and doesn't talk to anybody, whereas actually the practice that I'm seeing within the industry now, the increase in the firms and the firms that are kind of standing out, and those that are people who are getting shortlisted for awards like yourselves, are the firms that are involving themselves in their clients' businesses, people that are wanting to provide that sort of advisory sort of level of service and want to play an active role in the progression of their clients' businesses. Chloe, I know when we spoke as well, you SS, that you also like to kind of get involved in businesses and see people on a regular basis, don't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So obviously what we, with the virtual finance team specifically, with that is actually that we are part of the team. How we prided ourselves is we're part of our client's team. So virtual finance teams can have like a whole bookkeeping package. It also includes compliance as well, and also advisory services such as management accounts. So it's basically just all of your financial needs wrapped up in a little bow. And because of that, we're constantly in communication with our clients. So we are always talking to them, whether that be on a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly basis. We've always got touch points. For those clients that we don't do regular bookkeeping for, just like Max, our touch points are on a quarterly basis. But for those that we do bookkeeping for, we are obviously talking to them on a regular basis and building that communication and making sure that they just feel that they can trust us and that we are part of their team.
And what's the client's reaction when they start receiving this sort of level of service? I'm just imagining that the client's going to be coming to you, they might have left their old advisor for whatever reason, but they're coming to you and you're providing this more involved in-depth service. What's their reaction to that sort of level of service?
Trust, which I think is like the main thing. They feel comfortable with us, and then they trust what we have to say. And I feel like a lot of our clients use us as their comfort blanket, and that's that can be taken one or two ways. But it's a great thing to know that we are there and we can be able to support a client. And I think how they show how they're happy and stuff is how loyal they are. Like we've had clients that from day dot that have stayed with us, and we've grown basically by word of mouth. So we're doing something right. So with all of that service, that we're providing must be, other people must be going to the pub or whatever and telling their friends, and that's kind of how we've kind of grown. So it's quite nice, and I feel like that's the answer really.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust is absolutely everything. I remember when I was in practice, I heard a story about a client speaking to one of the directors, and the client said to the director that he was planning on divorcing his wife. He hadn't told the wife that yet. He wanted to know what his financial position was before that he made that sort of commitment. And for me, it just speaks volumes as to the level of trust that accountants and good advisors have with their clients. I also want to touch on something else that kind of jumped out to me when we spoke, and that was your initiative about planting a tree for new clients. I thought if you could share that, well, that was quite nice.
Yeah, so we've actually been working alongside a charity for a few years now called Ecology. I don't know how you pronounce it, but basically what it means that every time that we hire a staff member, we basically tell the system and the charity how many staff members we have, and each time we hire a staff member, we basically plant enough trees to kind of rectify the carbon footprint of that employee, so kind of like balance it out, and on a monthly or quarterly basis we get like notified on kind of how many trees we've planted and all of that kind of stuff. So we want to, and obviously we pride ourselves in being a paperless company, so we're always trying to think of the environment and our impact on the environment, i.e. the Ecology partnership, and also the paperless company that we are.
Excellent. And paperless, that's a really lovely transition into some of the systems and tools that we're using. And Max, we were talking about service delivery and how clients actually interact with the firm and the different tools that you're using. You've touched on a really nice line already in regards to tools are nothing without the people, but I thought you'd be interested to hear from your perspective about the range of different solutions that you're using in practice to be able to deliver the services that you provide.
Yeah, sure thing. So we are specialists in cloud and tech. However, we try and not become experts in everything, masters of none, or whatever the phrase is. So we are sort of 99% zero firm, and we don't offer a solution for QuickBooks or Sage accountants or Sage firms who want to use our service. We'll happily convert you over to zero and keep the service going, but we don't want our staff to be the knowledge spread thin around the firm, and that then sort of expands then throughout the app stack really. So for any cash flow management accounting, we use Futurely. For any we have our favorite expense management tools. We use Dex for invoice capture, and we try and just have that one tool to fit every purpose. There is some occasions where there'll be the odd one which doesn't quite fit in, but as a sort of rule for most of our clients, we try and become absolute experts in one tool and offer that to our clients, because then we can be assured that our staff are experts in whatever it is they're providing, not just winging it, because they do have their own nuances, these softwares, and especially like the likes of the management accounting and cash flow forecasting tools, they can be quite complex. So if you sort of play in it and providing whether you do Futurely, Fathom, Float, and got your finger in every bucket, then it's quite hard to become that expert. So I think that's what we do. But in terms of the service we provide, that's where we sort of see most of our added value work comes through tools such as Futurely. So we do a lot of like monthly coaching board meetings with directors and finance teams, where we'll sit down and use Futurely as a tool and get them involved in and build management account packs that are specifically for them, and that might not be all financial. That might be some non-financial information in there, such as return on investment on Facebook ad spend or whatever it may be. We like to track everything and have them sort of like wider commercial management accounts meetings. So yeah, that would be my take on tech.
I really feel like your firm is always on the cutting edge of new accounting technology that's coming out there. If there's a solution on the market, you guys have probably looked into it, explored it, either adopted it or discounted it or whatever. What I wanted to ask you was how are you going to go through that process? How you identify new pieces of tech to introduce within the firm, and how you would go through that evaluation process to make sure they're right for the practice.
Yeah, so we encourage everyone from the ground up to recommend products. So the whole team will go to Xerocon, Accountex, and whatnot, and we encourage people to go and speak to apps and place, you know, a case to their manager if they think that something is worthwhile. There is a couple of us that sort of are constantly sort of looking for the next best thing, but what I would say is, even though we are always looking for the best tech, we try and stay away from beta testing. We try and stay away from you know, things that you'll sit in a meeting and the software company will say, oh, that's coming in the next 3 months, because you do hear that quite a lot in this industry, and things are always just about to integrate with Xero or open banking or something down the line. So we like to use proven products that, you know, are finished. So that's one thing I would say.
Those pesky software vendors that tell you it's coming out. I've heard that. But I suppose it's the reason for, I suppose, excluding apps that are in beta testing, is that to protect the integrity of the client relationship, and to make sure that we're always providing them an absolute up-to-date solution. Yeah, if you could just speak to, I suppose, the client's reaction to technology that you're using internally.
Yeah, I think the reason behind us doing that is, I mean, we're a fast-growing firm ourselves. We've sort of doubled in the last year, and it takes a lot of human resource to go away and to fully audit them pieces of software and check them and roll them out and train staff. So before we, you know, invest in that time and money, then we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and we're pretty comfortable that the softwares that are out there and proven, you know, will fit most needs for our clients. I don't think there's anything that we have to sort of, you know, the new softwares that are out on the market are sort of, I mean, there's some really good softwares that sort of in beta testing that I've had discussions in around, like accounts payable and some of them like additional services in the space. But like I said, yeah, it takes quite an investment for the team to roll it out to clients. We don't want to provide a half-assed service to clients.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. And Chloe, I suppose you guys are a Xero firm as well, aren't you? Yeah. And
yeah,
I suppose, I was just going to say, and is that to ensure that, I suppose, the usage of the systems that you use are at a consistent level across the firm?
Absolutely, yeah. So obviously similar to Max, yeah, 99% of ours are on Xero, and we do sometimes take on the odd client on a different software, but we very quickly let them across to Xero, mainly to just, you know, it benefits both us and the client. We are obviously always constantly searching for efficiency, to make sure that all processes are being done as efficient as possible. So obviously Xero was our #1 choice, and the fact that we are all of the staff members Xero certified as well is another thing to it's kind of like a selling point to the clients, to know that their accountants or their bookkeeper are fully certified in the software that they are using. So yeah.
And obviously using the accountancy manager as your practice management tool internally as well, I suppose, how did you identify that there was a need for that, and almost go through the process of kind of looking internally at the tech that you're using and your systems and your process, and going, oh, actually there might be something out there that's going to be helpful?
It's probably going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but our way of practice management at the start of the company was spreadsheet, and everything, all passwords for our clients, not passwords necessarily, but like the references, like POA references, VAT references, were all on this protected, password protected file in the cloud. And then it got to like a year in, if that, and we were like, this is not practical at all. This doesn't work. People were just dropping in and out of this document, and it just didn't work. So obviously we looked into practice management software, and obviously accounts manager were the top of the list. And yeah, the rest is history, really.
And yeah, people often talk to me about other practice management systems, and kind of say, oh yeah, you know, do you get people moving from them, or you know, vice versa? And actually, no. Like I always say, our biggest competitor is spreadsheets. The amount of firms that are out there that are still using spreadsheets. There might be some firms on the call today that are actually still using spreadsheets. Maybe they're using one of the other Bright products that we offer. And this is the sort of insight that I'm trying to like get into, is actually look at the things that the other practices are doing that are helping them, making better internal processes, making them their lives a bit more efficient, that enables them to be able to deliver better services to clients, makes them ultimately their firm kind of stand out a little bit. And I suppose the solutions that you've adopted and the way that we're delivering services to clients, that has then enabled both firms to grow. And again, ultimately, growth of a practice is always what I think most people that we speak to are striving for. And you've both been able to demonstrate significant growth. Max, you've already mentioned that you've had fantastic growth. Did you say you doubled over the last 2 years? Was it?
Doubled in the last year. So we sort of had some growing on. We're sort of on a growth mission to become a top 100 firm in the next 2 years, ideally. So we're sort of going after it quite heavily. And we sort of added like £1 million in revenues to the top line last year. So it's quite. I think that the key for us is, I mean, I've worked at small local firms. I've worked at a top 20 firm of accountants, and they're both great in their own way. But one thing that was the same with both was the relationships between the client and the accountant was sort of managed by a partner historically. So the partner would manage that relationship, and it sort of halts growth a little bit when having a partner to be involved in everything at all stages of the relationship to protect that relationship. And I think that comes from them having to deal with like £100,000 a year audit clients and that sort of ethos around managing that client relationships. And we pride ourselves in having our trainees straight from the off to be involved in client relationships and managing them relationships, and using the tech such as like Xavier or Dex Precision, as it's called now, to sort of empower junior members of staff to, one, do work that they might not being able to do straight off the bat previously, such as like prepare a VAT return and self-review it themselves. So it's they're not just only learning as well, but they're also providing a review stage that would usually have been done by a more senior member of staff. And the same with the likes of Clarity, and the client, the junior members of staff then can have them commercial chats with clients. And we've had staff that we've employed here. So we had one member of staff who was a manager at Millie's Cookies. Within 18 months, she's assistant manager, and she's absolutely smashing it with not just the technical element, but also the advisory stuff. And I think I put a lot of that down to the tech that's allowed her to do that. So having the support system of tech that doesn't have to necessarily be a partner, and her being then involved and exposed to a lot more in-depth client chats and gaining that commercial awareness has been sort of invaluable, really.
I think that's it's really, really impressive, and staffing is something I was going to come on to in a moment. But just touching back on the growth, has there been any, I suppose, particular initiatives that have been introduced within the practice to drive growth, like such as expanding service lines or acquisitions that are being made, or anything in particular that's kind of been like, okay, this is going to be our business strategy to get us to hit that goal of being a top 100 firm?
I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of strategies around marketing, and yeah, whether that's social media marketing, SEO, or anything in between. And we do a lot around TikTok and LinkedIn and that sort of growth. But I think without I'll be pretty honest, but before I joined the firm sort of 8 years ago, we're owned by a sort of like an entrepreneur investor, and he built this absolute SEO beast, and it was bringing in leads left, right and centre, and we didn't have the right team in place, and the clients were probably leaving as quickly as they were coming in. So without the sort of service lines nailed down and the staff perform as well as they need to, the marketing and sales is useless, really, if you can't retain the clients. So I mean, we have internal marketing team, internal sales team, which do drive a lot of good traffic and leads to the firm, but making sure our staff are fully sort of at the forefront of cloud and accounting is vital as well. But in terms of initiatives, we're not doing anything. It's all natural growth, and there's no we're not acquiring anyone else or doing anything around that. It's just fast, hard growth.
Good. And you're quite right. Marketing can bring you inquiries, but it's going to be service delivery and the relationship you got with clients is going to keep them to stay. And ultimately, the longer a client is with you, the less that lead costs you, the cost per inquiry. But Chloe, you guys have seen some excellent growth as well recently. We touched on some sort of this, the new staff members. In particular, I think you mentioned that you took 5 new members of staff on during the lockdown as well. So I thought it'd be interesting just to hear kind of, I suppose, how the new team members have been coming into the firm and how that growth has looked.
Yeah, so obviously we've obviously in terms of financially we have grown substantially as well, but we like to look at our growth as in the amount of clients we have and also the amount of staff members that we've been taking on. And as you've pointed out there, yeah, so during the lockdown is actually where it kind of all skyrocketed out of nowhere. Obviously a lot of clients actually needed help more than ever at this point in time, and obviously they all made a decision just to move their firm to a new accountant, such as for us. And I think it kind of really showed how much, I don't know if it was word of mouth or whatever, but lots of people coming from us saying that we've heard good things about you, can you help me, can you help me, can you help me? And I think that was fantastic. And obviously the growth has been super crazy, but also super exciting. And we've made sure that the pinnacle part we think of the growth is the type of staff that we employ. We have quite a few stages in our interview process. We've obviously made a couple of mistakes down the line, of course, that's how you learn, but we're always seeking out staff members who want to stick at it, like who want to be loyal and who want to stay with us and grow with us. And obviously I know we'll be touching upon it a little bit later about the culture and stuff, but we, just to give you a quickly brief one, like we invest so much into our staff members. The staff members are the asset at the end of the day, like they are the thing that drives the service. But we have always made sure we invest time, and because we're investing time, we want to make sure that the staff members we have are going to stay with us. It's not always the case, but it has been the case for a lot of our staff members. We do have quite a low staff turnover. In terms of growth as well, we do also have an internal marketing team who obviously been doing a lot of stuff on social media, with our social media presence. We've acquired a business as well back in 2020, I think it was. We acquired another firm. Again, just completely getting our name out there, building that profile. We've done quite a few speeches at some of the accountancy shows and stuff like that, like expos and stuff like that, completely getting our name out there. Whether that be with accounts or with clients, our name, we just push all the time because we're constantly searching for more growth. And we also do want to be in the top 100. That's kind of our goal too.
Excellent, good stuff. I'm not surprised that you're having staff turnover is quite rare, because you invest in a lot into the facilities, and when we touched on the SAS house and I suppose some of the socials that you're able to provide staff there, I thought it was quite nice to hear. And if we just want to talk about what the office looks like and what some of the socials look like, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we actually really pride ourselves in our office. Back before COVID, we were in a serviced office, and we very quickly outgrew that. But it just didn't really feel like us. And then our company bought this building, which has flats above, but below is basically the offices, but it's in a house. It's just in this big house. So we've decided to call it SAS House, which we thought was really perfect because, without sounding too cliche, the team is a family, and this is where you spend the most of your adult life. You want to make it all lovely, and also it's a showing point to our clients. So we're very minimalistic. It's all white, it's all fresh, but we have like plants all the way around the office. The director loves plants, so he just filled the whole place with plants. Inspirational quotes as you walk in are like our brand colors. This here is, that's the colors that are all like pressed around in the office. It's fresh, it's clean, it's something that we pride ourselves in. And the best feature, we think, is the open plan office. So it's just all open plan, all spacious, and it means, and mostly when we bring our clients in for a meeting, it kind of looks, you can see how well the team works together and how professional we are. And just injecting SAS brand just discreetly but nicely all around the office kind of makes them feel like we mean business and that we are professional. Branded mugs, like we discussed the other day, branded mugs, branded pens, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Just, yeah, it's a house. I mean, we want our clients to feel that we all work together and we share all this knowledge together and that we work professionally together. And it's, yeah, I think it's nice when clients come in to see how we are in our SAS house.
I don't think your director would be too pleased with my plans that I've got here, to be honest with you.
Good.
But yeah, well, I just want to touch on our conversation the other day, because what really the whole thing about the office, having a nice office from a client perspective, is that sort of perception of quality. So particularly, I always, you know, for prospects, when I was in the practice, we had a lovely office, really lovely like boardroom, and we put our brand values on the wall. We spent a long time, you know, deciding our brand values. They meant a lot to us, and they really represented the way that we wanted to deliver services to clients. And of course, for potential client meetings, that was really important to have people come into the office, come and get a feel for who we are, come and sit down in our, you know, our lovely room with the brand values, kind of says about what the service delivery is going to be like. They sit down with, you know, a branded mug, a branded notepad, and it's all building that perception of quality. Oh, looking around, this is a serious firm. I'm going to make the right decision by coming to this firm. They're going to be able to take my business to the next level, because clearly their business is already at that sort of next level. So I think it's very important to have really nice offices for staff and give them that environment where they enjoy coming to work. But also, I think it's really important for prospects and clients to kind of feel like they've got that opportunity as well. Max, in regards to staff, I think the most powerful thing that you was talking about is the opportunities that you give to people. I wanted to I suppose reinforce that point about you took somebody from Millie's Cookies, was it that you just said, and gave an opportunity. But when you're saying about giving people the tools to kind of have ownership of and make recommendations, it all speaks to what I'm gathering is the culture of the firm, is that everybody's voice is heard within the organisation, and people can influence the business going forward. I suppose how does the tech help people in you know, getting their voice heard, I suppose?
Yeah, I think everyone's. I think, like I said, we're growing that fast that there's enough room for everyone to grow. So there's very much a culture of, you know, you support others around you, and you'll go far in your career. I mean, it's sort of quite embedded into the firm that sort of the head of the Liverpool office, the head of the Manchester office, the practice manager, head of payroll, and and one of the directors all come from the same firm and have sort of worked with each other and brought each other up. And then as we've grown, especially up north, around those people, the culture sort of stayed the same. You know, not everyone's out to jump on each other's back to become the next manager or the next assistant manager, but you know, everyone's there as a team, and there's enough room for everyone to grow. And we promote individuality. We promote, you know, if you think that you really like tax and you want to go down that angle, then maybe we can, you know, move your career and shape it. If you know, really like the marketing side of things, you know, there's opportunities where we can put you in front of, you know, get you involved in the marketing as well as the accounting, to sort of give you that angle on your career. We sort of, not everyone's the same. We want to promote promote people to be the best, and everyone feels like they are a part of something. You know, we're all growing, we're all sort of digging into the same mission and being part of something together. And I think that sense of togetherness is what drives the firm along. I think, like Chloe said, we've made mistakes in terms of the odd hire and people not quite fit, making the fit. You know, it's not, I won't say accounts and legal is the easiest place to work. It's, you know, it's nowhere with that sort of startup fast growth mentality is the easiest place to work in the world. And not everyone's going to be, you know, not everyone's going to change the world, but if you want to be a bookkeeper, we want you to come in every day and make that bookkeeping the best it can be, not just sit there and coast. So that's a culture that's sort of driven throughout the firm. And if you get on board, it can, you know, it can do great things. You know, I'm 27. I think I'm quite proud of where I've sort of got to in my career, and that's from, you know, not just the work I've done myself, but from being a part of something bigger than me. So yeah.
Yeah, the culture that you're building internally, and I suppose everyone's got to work hard in a business that's growing, that's striving to push on, and everyone's got to play their role, haven't they? You can't have everybody pushing the truck forward, if you will, and then one person just kind of like coasting along and almost to an extent actually dragging it back. So I think you by offsetting the hard work, if you will, with having your voice listened to, creating a culture where people want to be involved and playing their part, you're going to keep members of staff, and that's clearly shown by the increase in staff numbers that you've demonstrated. We've actually had a question from the audience, which is great to see. So thank you very much for submitting that. And basically, what we're being asked is that they're struggling to recruit, they're struggling to find good technical competent staff. And to quote here, we tend to find 1 in 75 is worth hiring. And by the time we offer them the role, they're already in employment. Are they looking in the wrong places, or hiring in the wrong channels? Now, we don't know what recruitment strategies they're currently adopting, so it's difficult for us to be able to advise if those strategies are right or wrong. But I suppose it'd be interesting to hear from your guys' perspective about where you find good staff, where do you find that staff are joining you from, and how you're recruiting. Max, I'll come to you first on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think it is a tough one. And you'll always find that when you really need someone, there's no one there, and then when you don't really need anyone, the perfect candidate comes on board, which is just unfortunate, just the way it is. But I think whatever your firm is and however your firm approaches, there's not a right way and a wrong way. We're quite different and quite out there, and we're dancing around on TikToks, and you might find that unprofessional. So them sort of people that do find us unprofessional, then they're probably not the type of person that's going to work well with us and be a good fit. So I just try and put as much personality into them job offers as possible. Like, we speak in like a very dumbed down language, and quite to attract the right sort of personality to them. It's not just about how technical they are, but yeah. And then from an apprentice point of view, we find it a little bit easier, and we don't just try and get people who have been in accounts. Like I said, some of our best trainees have been people who have found themselves in a role after university and not quite like we've had people done a music degree. Like I said, we had someone who was a manager at Millie's Cookies and have built skills elsewhere in business and built like commercial awareness, but they just want a bit more from their life and want to push on and become something. And the soft skills that they have, as soon as within sort of 6 months of the technical element, they become some of our best members of staff. So my tip would be for trainees would be to look further afield than just the accountancy pot, and people who have experience in managing customer experience and things like that. Like I said before, the job role's changing. Yeah, you have to be technical and get the tax implications right and whatnot, but if you can't speak to a client or you can't manage relationships, then the technical element doesn't even come into it. And then from hiring technical members of staff, I won't lie and say we found it easy. We found it extremely hard, and we have used recruiters, and we recruited someone off TikTok. Someone reached out to us on TikTok and now works for us as a manager in our Manchester office, and that's a senior member of the team, which was quite impressive. But yeah, we try and have a couple of levels of discussion with that person. One will be like a personality test, and just to find out a little bit more about them, tell us something interesting. We often will say on our recruitment process, like, if you could send us a 30-second video and tell us something you're interested about. Yes, if you tell us that you're interested in accountancy, we know you're lying. Tell us something you're passionate about outside of work. So you're not passionate about debits and credits. That no one thinks that. And then once we get them in, then if we feel necessary that it's a technical job and we want them to sort of put the money where the mouth is, then we'll probably prep them and say, here's a P&L and balance sheet. When we speak to you tomorrow, if you could just talk us through what you normally talk through with the client, just so they can one, you'll find that whether they're technical and they can read financial statements, but also that sort of commercial awareness, which we think is sort of vital in our role. But yeah.
That's great, and I think what you're saying is you can't go wrong by surrounding yourself with good people, and hard work will always beat talent when talent doesn't work hard, and I think good opportunities for good people, and people will flourish. Chloe, where do you find good members of staff? Kind of what are good recruitment sources for SAS?
Yeah, we have a vast range. Yeah, we've also had difficulties. I think the technical staff members are probably the harder ones to hire. But we rarely hire on qualifications. I think that's kind of our key thing. We always strive to hire on the grounds of personality and drive. If you've got a staff member coming in for an interview, has no experience in accounting, but really wants to get into it, and it shows this ultimate drive that they really, really want this, and their personality suits us, then we will hire them and invest our time in them to then train them up to the technical level that we need them. Because it's just a key thing to remember is you don't have to hire someone already ready working to be straight away with at the level you want them. Sometimes it's worth hiring below and then working with them and investing time in them and giving them so much one-to-ones or group sessions to kind of develop them in a place that you want them. Yes, obviously we do hire technical staff members straight off the bat, so those with qualifications. We tend to use financial recruiters, so actually recruiters in the financial industry, just because they simply know the industry and they can actually look for people who would suit that. We work quite closely to a recruiter who actually knows us and knows how our company is and how we are and what we look for. So they will really do the kind of filter process before even putting them forward and considering them, because they know how we work. So that kind of bodes really well for us. We also do put ourselves on Indeed and all of that and post our job application, job vacancies on like our social media and stuff like that. We do that as well. We also, because we're quite a family driven company, like the directors are there's two brothers and their dad, they are the ones that started the firm, so we kind of have carried that family kind of prospect. That's why we call ourselves the family SAS, and with that we actually do hire on recommendation. So if a staff member says that they think someone's really good for this role, then we will definitely consider them in for an interview, and actually have hired a few recommendations. Actually, my mum is our HR manager, so that's kind of yeah.
And did you recommend her, or did she recommend you?
No, I recommended her over a year ago, because we needed a new HR manager and an office manager, and I know her, and I knew that she would be the best fit. So I recommended her, and then my boss was like, "Yeah, when can she start? Let's do it." And we've invested time. We've got her on an apprenticeship for HR and all of that kind of stuff. So, as you know, recommendations tend to be the greatest hires, because the people who recommended them are those who work with us and know how we work and kind of what we go for and what we want from a staff member. So yeah.
Yeah, it speaks volumes when you receive referrals, especially internally for current vacancies. I think that's absolutely great, because it shows that the member of staff that's making a referral is endorsing you to their friends, their family in your instance. And of course, referrals for clients and prospects as well is always great, because they're warmer leads, and again, it just shows that the client is happy with what you're doing. Now, Max, I want to circle back around to you because you brought up social media. Now, social media for your firm is quite a big thing, really. It certainly looks that way online. And what I thought was great was you saying about the marketing and the social media presence that you've got. We're going to come on to for clients and talk about a combination of content. But it was quite interesting to hear that you've actually hired from social media as well. And I suppose, is that because you're just portraying exactly what you like, and then there's no surprises when people are walking into the firm? They know what the firm is like because of the way that you've portrayed yourself on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Very much sort of, yeah. We don't hold back on social media, and we're sort of show our personality as much as possible. We try and obviously mix it with, you know, it's not just all humour and silliness. There's, you know, there's an element there of the technical and the software implemented within that humour and the software. But yeah, we had a girl who relocated from Stoke to Manchester to work for us, who yeah, just followed us on TikTok for 6 months and loved what we do, and yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. And I think we would also before we got recruiters in, we'd be looking for accountants who work for firms, well, not just competitors, but local sort of firms where we know have a bit of a cloud presence, and just reach out to them directly, and try and speak to them. And so even if they don't accept them, they don't want to come for an interview, they'll at least connect with us and see what we're doing, and try and build in the local area a bit of a presence around being the forward-thinking, less stiff firm of accountants.
It's similar to the sort of strategy you would adopt for prospects as well. Is, you know, again, when I was in practice, I used to say that sometimes the marketing campaigns that we were implementing were trying to do, they weren't actually to win new clients. They shouldn't be judged on the amount of new clients that we're going to sign up on the back of a particular campaign, because sometimes we just want to be the second choice for a business, and have faith that one day that business is going to fall out with their accountant, is going to look for a second opinion. And if we're that second people that they think of, or we're the first people that they call when they make that sort of decision. And yeah, I just think some of the marketing that you've been doing, and it's really interesting to hear that yes, the video content, it gets really good views and gets a lot of people coming towards the page, but then you're using that to kind of build up almost like a community yourselves, to know that you've got you know, people there following you if they ever want to explore other employment opportunities, shall I say. And Chloe, your marketing, so you're also utilising LinkedIn for marketing as well, aren't you? But you also sharing some video guides and investing into video content.
Yeah, as mentioned, we have 2 marketing internal staff members, and they head up everything to do with social media marketing, putting our name out there, etc. Yeah, and actually one of the things that they came up with was to actually kind of give us, get all staff members to give like a 0 top tip. This was, I think it's a couple of years ago now, actually a year and a half ago. But it's basically, we would post one every 2 weeks or whatever it was, of a staff member giving a top tip to those who use 0. And actually we ended up going to software top tips in the end as well. And that actually went down really well. We got quite a lot of feedback and quite a lot of impressions and likes from that. We also do monthly blogs, so we put a blog out there on social media on our monthly newsletter as well. And this is a staff member who is writing this blog just about things about what, you know, the tax changes, especially with all of this interest going up, and the way the world is right now. We decided that putting a blog out there, all the tax changes and legislations that happen, social media, no, that's not what I meant, software changes, anything like that. We found a new software that we think is great. We will put blogs out there just to kind of get the word out, and kind of just educate our clients for free, because then it kind of gives us that scope that they would want to come and, oh, they know what they're talking about, like let's use them. So that's kind of the idea, and just to get the word out there really. But we also host charity events on a yearly basis, but then that is headed up by our marketing team as well. Last year and the year before, but last year was quite a grand thing, but we did a golf day for the charity dens, the homeless shelter. We raised quite a good bit of money for that, which basically the clients came, and a couple of our partners came as well, that we partner up with. And yeah, like it was a whole day of just raising money for and raising awareness for dens, and it was a pretty good day. So yeah.
Excellent. No, that's really good to hear. Now I was going to move on to DEI and ESG now. So at the Accounting Excellence Awards this year, they're introducing 2 new awards for DEI and ESG, and Bright is delighted to be the sponsor of these awards for the forthcoming events. And we're you know, it's akin to the way that we see the future of the industry and the way the industry is going. It's a bright new future, and I suppose I spoke to both of you about is there any internal policies or anything written into I suppose about DEI and ESG. And when we was talking about it, Chloe, you mentioned you actually got a cultural ambassador within the firm, which I just thought was excellent. I thought that was really, really nice to hear. And if you could just talk about that, that'd be great.
Of course. So from the start of our business, we had this fantastic culture. We had a brilliant atmosphere where we just always want to work together. We're forward thinking, we're excited, we're driven, we're there for each other, like all of this kind of stuff, and that was there. And what we were wanting to make sure is that as that continued as we grew. So we've obviously gone, so when I started, I was a 6th member of staff. We're now at 26, 27, I think soon. And with that, you just obviously, and being that we also want to be a top 100 firm, we have to consider that the growth is astronomical and that we want the culture to remain, because the culture is what makes us, as makes SAS. It's what produces the amazing service to the clients, because people want to be there. Staff members want to be at work. They want to produce a great client service to them. So we devote and we want to make sure the culture is there. So yeah, we decided that actually one of our accountants internally is fantastic with people. He loves everyone in the office. He's always there for people. He's always talking to people, like making sure they're okay. He always used to write in his diary that people had an exam. You said once in a conversation, he'll write it down, and then the day of the exam, he'll be like, oh, good luck, let me know how it goes. And he's constantly always there. So we decided to give him a new job title, an additional job title of Culture Ambassador. So what that means is that basically he's the person that people can go to if they want to talk about anything about how they feel, about how the business is, or how they feel personally. It's just having that someone there, non-biased, someone there to kind of help you and to walk you through it and kind of advise where to take the next steps if they're necessary. But just being that ear and just making sure that, and he also plans our team building days out and stuff, just to make sure that the culture remains.
I think that's great. And when you're talking about culture, and it reminds me of, I suppose, what we're trying to do with Bright internally. We obviously rebranded to be Bright back in October, and during that process, we also introduced some brand values for the organisation as well. And we was kind of talking about a time when the products were individual and we much smaller teams, and we knew everybody within the team, and the difference between being a small team, a large team, is you do have to document your brand values, just because you want to make sure that there's consistency within the firm and about the way the relationship that employees have got with the firm and the way that they're working with each other, and just making sure it is that environment that we all want to work and want to contribute to. Now, Max, like what jumped out to me was you guys, because of the tools that you're using, barriers not an entry. I suppose country or location isn't really a barrier to working for the firm as well. But that was quite impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, this wasn't really a strategic move to do this, but I think we have 4 offices across the UK, some offices bigger than others. So I mean, we try and get together as much as possible. But after COVID, we had members of our team in London who weren't originally from London and sort of moved back to their native countries. So we've got, yes, one of the members of staff working in Cyprus, another one in Lithuania, and yeah, there's no real issue as long as the job gets done, and they sort of, yeah, the culture stays within the firm virtually. I mean, the management team across all 4 offices operate as one at Accountancy and Legal, so we have a management meeting sort of 3 times a week where we sort of can help address any issues. There's an agenda, and we just sort of work through that. So we're very much, even though we're across 4 offices across multiple countries, we very much try and keep that team ethos as one. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's great, and everything that you've kind of said on the call today, and I suppose also the industry recognition that both the firms are receiving. I see you both speaking at events and of course on LinkedIn. I think it just all speaks to the fact that you really are really good advocates for the accounting industry, and the firms are, the way the industry is going. We spoke a little bit about the stereotypical view of an accountant earlier, and I think firms like yourselves are really kind of standing out and challenging that stereotype and changing the industry for good. So thank you very much for coming on the call today and sharing these views. I hope it's kind of like encouraged or highlighted some sort of things that the attendees may perhaps doing in their firm, and recognizing that actually this is some exceptional stuff, and maybe might encourage a few people to think about putting themselves forward for an award as well. Before we close off, obviously I introduced the Bright Ideas sessions. These are going to be done on a pretty regular basis going forward, and obviously we had Max and Chloe on today's session, but we're going to keep featuring different Bright customers on each of the sessions. And next week we're doing another one specifically on growing your practice. Now, I just wanted to run a quick poll to say, did you want to be signed up for the Growing Your Practice webinar? There should be a poll on your screen now. If you want to sign up, we're going to be talking about some of the strategies and initiatives that the panelists have introduced in their firms to make sure that they've grown, and what sort of impact that's had on the business, on turnover, and really diving deep into that sort of that insight. Really, we spoke a little bit about growth on today's call, but this is going to be a whole session dedicated to it. Just give that another few seconds just to give you enough time to answer. Cool, thank you very much. And obviously we have spoken about a few different tools today. Obviously I've mentioned Bright a couple of times now. I just wanted to launch another poll to know if you'd be interested in hearing more about any of our other Bright products. So obviously Bright came about in October, and it's been a merger of various different individual software packages to come together into one Bright offering. So the tools that we're able to offer, they're all well renowned for offering excellent functionality, but they're supported by industry-leading customer support as well. And obviously the tools are Accountancy Manager, as you can see, which is practice management software. We've got BTC software as well, which is tax compliance software. We've got BrightPay, which is payroll, and you've got Surf AP and Surf Accounts as well, which are only available in Ireland at the moment, but will be coming over to the UK in the not too near distant future. So I'll just give you a couple more seconds to complete that one. Excellent. And that's it. I think we're just coming up to the hour, so I'll dismiss everybody for lunch. I just wanted to say a big thank you, obviously, to everyone that came on the session today. I look forward to seeing you on the Growing Your Practice webinar. Obviously, more details will be shared about that going forward. Massive thank you to Max and Chloe for your time today. And as I said earlier, these sessions wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for the panelists. And so your insight and your time is really appreciated. So thank you very much for that.
No, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye now.
Bye.